It's very important. Okay, so let's okay, I'm just recording it. So let me share again screen. And okay, so let's start right now. Lesson 20. Then we're going to start lesson 20 because, as I was telling Sebastian, we're going to uh, this might be the last one because after this we're going to do the mocking test. So we're going to maybe do the 20 because I think it's very important for us to have it. So let me just sorry, Sebastian. Okay. Okay, we're going to see today something very interesting regarding gerunds and infinitives. Most of the times we know that with some sentences we use infinitives, with some other sentences we use gerunds. But I just want for us to see today the change of meaning on some of them. Let me see here. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so there are some, Sebastian, there's some verbs that don't have change. We use it in gerunds or we use it in infinitive, like begin or continue, attempt. But I want to point out the ones that change in meaning a little bit. Okay. So, for example, like if I say I like swimming, I'm talking just in general, right? But if you're talking about a habit that you have, then you use it with an infinitive, right? For example, you can say I like to swim in the morning, right? So that may be a habit. Or you can maybe say yes, I like to drink coffee uh, every afternoon, right? Just an example. So yeah, if you're gonna use a habit that you have, then you use to. If you're gonna talk in general, then you're gonna be using an infinitive. I'm sorry, a gerund, right?
And the one with the habit can also be used negative. Like if I say I don't like to swim in the mornings, or I would say I don't like swimming in the mornings.
I will use the gerund maybe because it's in general, right? Because mostly maybe a habit is something that you definitely do, right? So
Okay, not
I won't.
something that I don't like.
Correct, right? So I
Okay,
won't be
perfect.
using it in negative, right? But just talking in general, you can use the ing. Yes, I don't like swimming, a lot, or so that's something very important. Also, talking about would like or would prefer, would hate or would love, and infinitive is used for a particular occasion or event. So, for example, you say, "Would you like to dance?" Right? Or maybe you're talking about something that you do. Uh, for example, you can say, "Yes, I would prefer," or maybe you can ask if you want to ask a question. Would you like uh, to drink coffee or Coke? Right. So it's something that also for a particular occasion or event, you can use would like or would prefer. So again, you can say, would you prefer to study English or to? So it's just like something, okay, I mean, a particular occasion or event, you can use to plus something with these ones, would prefer, would hate, or would love, etc. Now, these ones are very, very important, and I want to just point you out these ones. For example, try. Sebastian, if you use try with an infinitive, that means that you can do something. For example, you can say, yes, I tried to speak uh, Chinese, but I couldn't, right? So if you use try with to, that means that you try to do it, but you were not successful with it, right?
So
But
try in this case would always means that if I'm referring to something that I try to do but I can't, not something
right,
that I'm trying to do.
correct. Because if you use it with a gerund, that means that you are trying it to do it, and maybe you're getting successful to it, right? So you can,
Yeah,
for
like
example,
if I'm saying I'm trying to learn piano,
exactly.
in the case I'm being successful, then therefore, well, yeah, you're I'm using it with a gerund, not the other one.
Yeah, you can say
Mhm.
if you're telling me I am trying to play piano, that means that you try, but maybe you're not having success in it, right? I mean, you're not successful in it,
Yeah,
or
like
maybe
if I say I try to go on a walk, then I'm saying that I'm wasn't successful
yeah,
in
maybe
that
maybe
doing
maybe
that
you try,
activity.
or maybe you were too lazy to do it, so you didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
But with ing,
Mhm.
that means that you are allowed to do it. I mean, for example, I try studying Portuguese. So maybe Maybe you're trying it and you're doing it and you're going to class and you are, so that's something, is something positive, right? So that's something very important. Sometimes we get confused with this, but in this test, it's going to be very important if we see this try with an infinitive or if we see it with a gerund. Now you know the difference, right? And sometimes we don't know this type of things, right? Now with stop,
In
with
this case,
yes,
try can also be used when referring to something that we did that we didn't like. Like if
also,
I say I try eating that, but I didn't enjoy it.
well, if
In
you
that
say,
case, would also be correct.
well, if you use ing, that means that you did it correctly. But you can say, yeah, I try to, uh, just an example, I try to go on a diet, right? That means that you tried, but maybe you couldn't, because maybe, well, I really like dessert, so I couldn't, right? So I just eat dessert. So that means that you were not, maybe because you were lazy, or because you didn't want to, because you didn't like it, or because you weren't capable of it. So that's the way of saying that case. Try to, right? Now with stop, if you use ing, that means that you stop totally doing something. For example, you say, or people can say, yes, I stopped smoking. That means that that person stopped doing that, and no more. But if you're doing something and you stop for a moment and then you continue doing it, then you use an infinitive, right? For example, you can say, yes, I was studying and then I stopped. Or you can say, I stopped to study because I was hungry, so I just ate something. But that means that you just stop for a moment something. But that means that you're not quitting studying, right? But stop with ing is that you're quitting for good, right? So that's the meaning of that. So that is very important for us to know that difference. Now for regret, if you use an infinitive, for example, I regret to tell you that we have no more room available. That's for giving bad news, right? So you can say, well, I'm sorry, mom and dad, I regret to tell you that I didn't pass the math test, as an example, right? So that's to give him bad news. Now, if you use it with a gerund, I regret not making more friends when I was at school. That's regretting things from the past. Okay. So if you use regret with a gerund, that means that you're regretting things about your past. So you can say, well, I regret not uh, studying Chinese when I was a kid. Right? So that's you regretting things about the past. But currently or present things or bad news, you use an infinitive. Are we clear with this? This
Yeah.
first part? Okay, good, good. Now, um, okay, okay. Now, for remember and forget, which is the, well, in this case are the same. If I use remember or never forget gerund, for example, going to New York, that means that I mean is when things are happening in the past, or things happen in the past. For example, you can say I never forget uh, going somewhere. In this case, going to New York when I was quite small. Or you can say I remember. Uh, I remember going right to the beach when I was a kid, right? So you just that's for talking about the past. But if you use it in the with an infinitive, that means that it's in the that is it is still happening. For example, you can say yes, I must, well, use it with must. That okay, Sebastian, you use this with must. So you can say I must remember to buy a newspaper while I'm out shopping. That means that you might actually that's for the future, right? So you can say, I must remember buying milk for my mom, right? So that means that you need to remember to do something for the future. Okay, so when you use ing, it's talking about the past. To, you're talking about, well, must remember or mustn't forget. To, again, will be for the future. So I'm sorry, ing past to future. Okay, are we clear in this part?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good. And we have two more. That's it. Two more before we start the lesson. Okay, mean. Mean. When I say mean, for example, I mean to. When I use it with an infinitive, I mean to work hard at university. It's an intention. Okay, you intend to do something, right? Yeah. Yes, I mean to help you, but I couldn't, right? So it's an intention that you have. But if you are using it with ing, it'll mean going to the library more often. That would be like the result. Forgot the word in Spanish for this, but it can be like requiere. So it will mean going, requeriría ir a la
Requires.
biblioteca. Yeah, it's a requirement. And the other
Yeah.
one, it's an intention, okay, with the infinitive. Now, with go on, for example, when I finish shopping, I think I'll go on to see a film. You use that to change activities, right? So you can say, well, I was eating dinner, uh, and then I go on to watch TV, right? So changing activities, right? And when you use go on with ing, that means to continue something, right? So please don't stop. Go on showing us your photos, or please don't stop, teacher. Go on explaining us your whatever. Okay, so that's the difference between that. So I really wanted to take time in this lesson to explain you this because I think it's going to help us a lot in the test, right? That we're gonna have pretty soon. So, any questions in general, Sebastian, about this?
Yeah. No, thank you.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
welcome. You're welcome. So, it's very interesting, right, Sebastian?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, let's go to Unit 20 then. Okay, in our books, and we're going to start. Let me see here. Just a moment. I lost the unit. Just give me a second.
It's page 130.
130. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, yes. Okay, so we have here, we're going to practice a little bit of speaking here. So it says, look at the 5 photographs of clues in a police case. Discuss which 2 clues are the most reliable, given reasons for your choice. So from these clues, which one do you think will be like the most reliable and why?
What is clue number 4 supposed to be?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Maybe like a chemical stuff, but they don't tell us here exactly what it is. But
It looks suspicious.
yeah, look.
Yeah, I would say that. Well, I'm not sure what number 5 is either, but I would say that number 1 and number 2 will be the most reliable. Uh, Fingerprints are like the most common example to find criminals. Um, because everybody has a unique pair of like of a fingerprint, and I'm sure if the police has the fingerprints of the person, they can find the records of who the person is.
Mhm.
And the same with the hair, because they can find the DNA and find a matching person to that DNA. Maybe they could find not directly the person, but maybe a family member of the person, and that could lead eventually to the criminal. So I would say that number 1 and number 2 are the more
Uh,
reliable.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Very good. And just for discussion, Sebastian, what do you think are the causes of crime? For example, they say unemployment. What other causes causes of crime do you think?
Well, I think maybe a common one is jealousy.
Jealousy?
Um,
Okay,
yeah, because I see that a lot of the times when a person commits a crime against another is because maybe they're like some sort of competition, or maybe it's they said a barrier or a complication in their lives. Um, Maybe it's also because of being in need, like people who become drug dealers a lot of the times they do it because they're in a position of needing money, and that's easy money. So I would say that will be the most common ones for necessity and because of jealousy are common ones.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sebastian. And B, do films and TV programs about violent crime help to cause more crime? Why or why not? Do you think that?
I I think it depends on exactly what it is. I know that sometimes violent video games can manifest negative in certain type of people, and they can become more like they would might do crimes in the future because they saw it on TV. But it also can it depends on who the recipient of the movie or program is. So like maybe the average person would watch a documentary about murder and they just go on about their life. Well, maybe some people would get impact in a different way, and they might be motivated to do something like that. Like they took an idea. Like for example, I listen to a lot of crime podcasts,
Uh-huh.
but just because I'm hearing a crime podcast doesn't mean that I
That you're
would
gonna,
become violent
yeah,
or
you're gonna.
commit a crime.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think it depends on the person specifically who is watching the program or the film.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Very good. Uh, well, this one, to be honest with you, I don't understand this question because life imprisonment is like kind of perpetua, right? But I don't know why they ask if that mean life. That's, I don't know. I really understand that question.
Yeah, I think it's more of a philosophical thought.
Probably like a philosophical thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it also depends. Like if you're set depression for committing a crime, I feel like it's a complicated matter and a complicated topic. I would say if there's some certain types of crimes that yeah that you should be put in jail permanently, or if a judge decides like maybe in another country that they should go into death penalty, and maybe that's a solution. But I don't think all crimes should be punished for lives.
Hmm.
Just I feel like in the case of crimes there's like a hierarchy of things that you have done. Like I don't think that a person who have shoplifted should have the same
Right, right.
amount of time in jail as a person who has committed cannibalism. And that's I don't that's really common in real life, that sometimes judges and police departments would have a little bit of bias, and maybe a person who has committed a crime, uh one crime as same as another person would get um a higher sentence because of the race, or maybe because of their age group or where they were born. And I know that's really common. I don't know how common it is here in Costa Rica, but I know it's really common in the US and Canada.
Right. Hmm.
So I think that it's a matter that should be looked into. Like
Right.
it's you really have to analyze what the person did,
Right. Right. Very good.
their motivation and all of that.
Hmm. And the last one, Sebastian, is prison really the answer to crime? Do you think?
I mm, again, it's kind of the same. It's a complicated question. I think in some cases is yes, it should be the answer. There's a lot of people who commit crimes, but they do it unconsciously because of mental health problems. In that case, I feel like the better the best place to put that person shouldn't be necessarily a jail, but maybe I don't know, like a mental hospital where the person will be rehabilitated.
Hmm.
And I think there should be more options. Just not just like if you commit a crime, you go to jail. I think that there's like a community service that sometimes people do and house arrest.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of the time that makes more sense that jail does, because in the case of jail, people are using money
Right.
well, the government spending a lot of money to sustain people that aren't working and probably won't work again because of their records. So I feel like there's better options at Yale in some cases.
Okay. Very good, Sebastian. So yeah, in general, these are this is the well the speaking part that I wanted for us to remember. In these are well, you already know how the speaking tests work, right? So there's some questions in part one that we don't know exactly what they're going to ask, right? So we 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 might have any type of topic, right? So in this case, now we know a little bit of some vocabulary that I think is good for us to know, like in life imprisonment or and here are some other ones, maybe regarding about murder and crime. So these are some words also that maybe we can practice, but for homework, maybe what's to cover your tracks, the suspect, the proof, guilty, forensic scientist, genetic code, evidence to take someone to court. So I think those are some good vocabulary that we can practice because we don't know exactly what topics we're going to be working that day that we're going to have the test, right? So I think those are
There
some
are like
vocabulary. Mhm.
is there in the mock-up, well, not the mock-up, the real test, do they send you teachers like a list of the topics that they might choose, or they only do it the day of the exam, like they don't
Only
tell
that,
anyone,
yeah,
just like the people who
it's
take it?
it's like a surprise. We don't know
Okay,
exactly,
yeah.
but I know
what
that they
what are the most likely to be, like, are
um,
they going to be more complicated topics or
no,
really
I think there's gonna be
common
definitely
everyday thing?
definitely I think it's going to be like uh, topics about the environment, recycling. What else? I mean, very common. Animals can be also a topic, you know. So I mean, mostly definitely is going to be something about nature, like animals or pollution or recycling, taking care, I mean, or taking care of the environment and everything, you know. So, well, that's very common. That's a very common topic. But again, that's why in this book we have been seeing, you know, all kinds of topics, fashion, I mean, everything, right? We have seen. So I think that it definitely is going to be based on this book, right? The topics, you know, that we're gonna uh, see in the test, right? So it's good. Maybe you can take a look before going to the test, the real test. You can take a look to the all the topics that we have seen, you know, and maybe try to find some information and work on some vocabulary that can help you. Also, remember something that it can help us a lot is to read the Tico Times. I also recommend that. That's a Costa Rican newspaper. You can just give like to it in Facebook, and maybe you can read an article at least once a week. And there's a lot of vocabulary regarding, you know, medical vocabulary, nature, and everything. So I think that can help us also uh, for these tests, you know, for our reading parts. So, okay, so what I want, Sebastian, and hopefully Jimena is going to be watching also this video, and well, your sister too. I want for you to do this part, okay? This is the famous part where there's a text. They took some paragraphs from the test and they put them here. So let's do this part. Uh, I would like to, well, let's see how long you take, Sebastian, doing this part. Uh, might be maybe 6 minutes is okay to take.
Yeah.
Hopefully less than 6 minutes, okay? But I know that
Okay.
I know you're fast on doing it, but let's try to
Okay.
do it, and we're gonna check it in a moment. So let's start right now.
Okay.
Perfect. Sebastian, let's check it. Okay. Well, the extra one is, let me tell you, it's, let me see, it's D as in David. That's the extra one. Okay. So let's check it.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, G. Number two, F as in Frank. Number three, C as in Charlie. Number four, A as in Apple. Number five, E as in Edward. And number six, B as in boy. How
All
many?
of them.
All of them. Wow, very good. Very good, Sebastian.
All of them. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Very
Mhm.
good. Okay, now we're gonna do a listening part over here where it says, well, it says before you listen to the recording, read through the questions and make sure you understand them. You're going to hear a radio news item about the arrest of a robber in the USA. Take notes while you are listening, and then in pairs discuss the answers to the questions. Okay, so I can give you maybe 30 seconds or less for you to read the questions, and then we're going to start.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's. Yeah.
let's start with the. So just we listen and you answer the question, right? Let's start.
Yeah.
Track 16, Unit 20, 20.2, Exercise 1.
Good morning. Here is the news. Anthony Curcio, 28, of Monroe, Washington, was sentenced today to 72 months in prison for robbing an armored car in Monroe. Curcio, a former star athlete in high school who earned college scholarships in basketball and football, carefully planned the robbery over nearly a year. Curcio was arrested in a car park following a spending spree at a shopping mall. At the trial, Curcio stated that he had needed the money from the robbery to pay to take his friends on an all-expenses-paid vacation to Las Vegas. According to records filed in the case, Curcio first came up with the idea of robbing an armored car while working for his parents' landscaping company. They were doing some work near the Monroe branch of the Bank of America, and Curcio studied the deliveries that the armored car made every week. At the same time, he decided on the best ways to escape after the robbery. He manufactured a disguise with clothing that could be easily removed, and even strung a cable in a nearby river so that he could use an old tire as an inflatable raft and pull himself down the creek away from the scene of the crime. Curcio decided to use an open Wi-Fi network to put an advertisement on the Internet offering men a potential job. The open Wi-Fi was to enable him to post things on the Internet without the police being able to trace him. Applicants for the job were told that they had to stand outside the Bank of America in Monroe at a certain time on a certain date and wear specific clothing. This was to consist of a blue shirt, yellow vest, safety goggles, and work shoes. They were told that there was construction work available for whoever turned up. On the day of the robbery, Curcio wore a wig, safety goggles, work boots, and a tearaway blue shirt, and he pretended to be a landscaper cutting weeds outside the bank. When the armored car arrived, it stopped outside the bank to unload the money, and the delivery person got out. Curcio stopped working and then sprayed the delivery person in the face with pepper and stole a bag containing approximately $400,000. Curcio remembered to remove his wig, face mask, work clothes, and hat, and threw them in bushes before making his escape on the inflatable raft down the river. What initially confused police was the group of people at the scene, all dressed in the same clothing as the robber. However, the FBI and Monroe police were soon on Curcio's trail. According to police, 3 weeks before the robbery took place, a homeless man had seen Curcio trying out his ideas for the robbery. Curcio had arrived in a wig and gone through what he would do on the day of the robbery. Before leaving in his car, he had then dropped the wig and an empty bottle behind a trash can at the bank. The homeless man had reported Curcio's license plate number to police and given them the items he had found behind the trash can. The police found out that the car was registered to Curcio's wife. Nothing was done at the time, as there was no crime to connect it to, but the police had kept the items. When news came of the attack on the armored van at the bank, a police sergeant remembered getting the earlier report. Investigators retrieved the drink bottle from storage and found it had a sample of DNA on it. They then compared it to the DNA from the face mask and wig left by Curcio a short distance from the scene of the real robbery. The DNA from the bottle matched the DNA from the items left at the scene. The police then began following Curcio and finally arrested him in the car park. Some $220,000 of the stolen money was recovered following Curcio's arrest. He pleaded guilty to all charges. In asking for a 5-year sentence, Assistant United States Attorney Bruce Mayaki said that, and I quote, "All robberies are inherently violent and serious. This robbery stands out for its boldness, level of planning, and its ingenuity. As has been seen, Curcio was obsessive in his planning. This, however, led to his ultimate downfall."
Okay, let's check it, Sebastian. Okay, how long will Curcio have to stay in prison?
72 months.
Correct, 72 months. Where was Curcio arrested?
He was arrested in the state of New York, but specifically in a parking lot.
Excellent. Why did Curcio steal the money?
Okay, Curcio stole the money to pay a vacation for his friends to go to Las Vegas.
Excellent. And D, when did Curcio get the idea of the robbery?
While working for his family's landscaping business.
Well, yes, let me see, because, well, it says here that when he was working near the bank, that's when he had the idea,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
When he started thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Letter E. Why did he put an advert on the internet?
He put the advert in the internet so the police wouldn't track him by online data.
Correct. And F. Why did Curcio pretend to do immediately before the robbery?
He pretended to be working as a landscaper.
Excellent. G. How did Curcio escape?
By using a raft down the river.
Excellent. Let's see. Okay, H. Why were the police confused?
Because when they got to the crime scene, everybody was wearing the same thing that Curcio was.
Correct. And I. What happened 3 weeks before the robbery?
A homeless man saw Curcio buying the wig and doing all the planning and visiting the bank.
And correct? And what evidence did the police have for arresting Curcio?
His DNA was in the bottle and in the mask
Correct.
that Curcio was wearing, and they matched it with a bottle, the DNA that was in the bottle.
Correct. Bottle and the mask on the DNA. Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good. In general, Sebastian, what do you think about Curcio and the robbery? What do you think about his plan?
Well, I think that is interesting, and I think it's more planned than the average heist,
Mhm.
because usually most high, the normal level ones are like, um, well, they're not like really in-depth planned. It's more like just go and steal when people are looking. Uh, and I think this one's more planned because he didn't want to get caught or anything tracing him back. It reminds me a lot of the movie Ocean's 8,
Uh-huh.
where the guys go and make a lot of planning just to steal like valuable stuff to sell it. Uh, and it reminds me of that movie because they do all in-depth planning so that police wouldn't track them back.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it's he is more smart than people will initially think
I
because
see.
of all the things that he thought before. It's more that his poor planning in the part of him leaving the mask behind and the wig.
Yeah, that was the bad thing,
So yeah,
Yeah, very
yeah.
good, very good. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Okay, just to let's see, just Sebastian, just to practice what we saw at the beginning. Let's do this part five, just to practice the adjournments and infinitives. So it says this exercise revises the work done on gerunds and infinitives in this unit and unit seven. So complete the leaflet with the correct form of the verb in brackets. So let's see if we can do that, and then we can check it, of course, in a moment. Okay, let's work on that just to finish.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's check it. Okay, okay. Um, okay. The number one will be to make up. Number two, to be.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, to fasten.
Not being.
Not being up, to be.
No. No. Number two. I am asking to be not being careful
Correct, to be.
because I wrote try being careful all the time.
No, so try to be.
Okay.
Try to be careful at all times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To fasten. Number three, to
Sorry?
fasten. To fasten. Number three.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, Letter D, walking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think. No. I was confused. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So to fasting. Number four, checking. Number four, checking.
Mm-hmm.
Number five, to see. To see.
Okay.
Number six, to avoid. To avoid.
Mm-hmm.
Number seven, carrying. Carrying.
Yeah.
Number eight, to put. To put.
Okay.
Number nine, reporting. Reporting.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, lead.
Mm-hmm.
11, no.
Mm-hmm.
And 12, to sign. To sign.
I got 8 correct.
8 correct. Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, Sebastian, for homework, please, can you do the email on page? Well, I have 147, but I think it's different, the one that you have. Let me see. Yeah, it will be page 135.
134.
One,
Okay.
yeah,
No,
one,
I kind of have it in both. So it's
yeah, but
140 explains how to write it, and then okay.
yeah. So
Yeah, I see it now.
the homework is in 135, where it says you have received this email from Nikki, an Australian friend. Okay. So
Okay, yeah.
so for homework, can you send me that during the week? And well, also Jimena and your sister, so that I can just check it, and then next week we're gonna start then with the mocking test, the second mocking test.
I think that
How it goes.
next week we might not be
Oh, okay.
around, so I think that it wouldn't be next week, just the week after that.
Okay,
So
so
not this one,
that's
the one after.
okay. So we're gonna be working then the week after the other.
Mhm.
Perfect,
Yes.
Sebastian. So thank you, Sebastian. We will see you then in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. See you.